Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited you could be here. Look, there's not a lot of times that I get to actually really interview a big fan. And today I have somebody that I'm a huge fan of. I mean, I watch his channel, I watch his stuff. It's spot on for real estate, consumer credit, commercial credit. I mean, I think I literally harassed him to the point where he finally just succumbed and agreed to come on. He will tell you that's exactly how it went down. So I'm super excited because he's got some really cool knowledge in real estate, consumer credit, commercial credit that I think will blow your mind. So with us today is Kelvin McNeil. Now, Kelvin is a highly experienced real estate professional and entrepreneur with over 5 years of experience in helping individuals, groups, and organizations achieve financial health and become homeowners or successful business owners. Now, as the founder of Greenscale LLC and a licensed mortgage loan originator, Kelvin offers comprehensive guidance on mortgages, first-time home buying, business credit, credit repair, and of course, real estate and real estate investing as well. With a strong online presence, including over 48,000 social media followers and 130,000 YouTube subscribers, of which I am one, and you should be one by the end of this episode. Kelvin is passionate about empowering others to make informed financial decisions and unlock their full potential to better living. Kelvin, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, what's up, Ty? And hey, everybody watching. Thank you for that introduction. That was a pretty cool introduction. And first, I just want to start off by saying, Ty, I'm a fan of yours, and I want everybody watching to know. I was one of the people that would jump on and watch your live streams on LinkedIn, like way back in the pandemic, like around 2020. You'd be on LinkedIn like every day, talking about business funding. And so you were one of the first people that I learned from. And so thank you for continuing to do what you do. And I'm a fan of you for sure.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I am. I'm like the grandfather of this industry. So to watch you guys come in, the young blood, and do what you've done to educate people, it's really cool, man. Because as you know, like more people need to know about business credit. So you talk to so many entrepreneurs, and I want to talk a little bit about how you started Greenscale. But I'm just curious, off the top of your head, like why do you find in what you do that so many do not know the right ways to be able to fix their credit and build their business credit? The solutions you solve when they come to you, why do you find there's this disconnect where people just do not know this information?
Well, the truth, Ty, as you know, is we just weren't taught this stuff in school. A lot of the stuff that I've learned, if it wasn't from just reading and getting certain education that was outside of your traditional grade school education or even college, it really came from experience. So a lot of people just don't have the experiences of going through certain things until they go through it, and then once they go through it, they kind of get stuck and they don't know what to do or where to go. And so that's why one of the reasons why I started my business, because I went through some things that when I went through it, I really didn't, know exactly where to go, what to do. And so I just kind of picked myself up and, by the bootstraps and started trying some things, and it worked. And then next thing I knew, I was in a better position. And so a lot of times people just, maybe they heard some misinformation, maybe they, especially like our grandparents and, people that grew up in the past times, they never dealt with credit. They were taught not to ever touch credit. So it's hard to now be in the new generation where credit is everything. And the people who you tend to go to or would normally go to for advice don't really have any value to add, because this is all new to them. And you end up being the person that teaches them how to deal with credit.
How did you make that leap? I mean, how did you go from, struggling because you didn't have this information to becoming as knowledgeable as you are? Because you're super knowledgeable. Your channel is phenomenal. Your YouTube especially is phenomenal. And,
Thank you.
how did you make the leap? Like going from not knowing how to do these things yourself to now being like one of the leading experts in these industries, and not just an industry, like you do that in mortgages, you do it in real estate, you do it in consumer credit and commercial credit. How did you make that leap to start this company and get that kind of knowledge to be the expert that you are today?
You got to seek it. You got to seek the knowledge. For me, I think it's in my nature to be a researcher. So I research heavily. Anything that I'm interested in, I just kind of obsess over it. I just, the rabbit hole, so to speak. I jump in and it's all I consume until I feel like I know enough. And then I also I'm not ignorant enough to ever think that I know everything. So I'm always learning. It's a nonstop loop of continuously learning. And so in the beginning, I said, okay, I have a problem. What's my issue? My issue at the time was I couldn't get approved for a car without my father co-signing for me. And although I was blessed enough to have my father be able to co-sign for me, I didn't understand at the time, how can I have this great job, working in corporate America, making a great salary. I have, good money coming in. I could show proof. I can show you pay stubs and everything. But because of some issues I had with credit, I had bad credit at the time. I still needed somebody else to co-sign for me, or I couldn't get a car. And so that was kind of mind-boggling to me. And so the first thing for me was I started researching, how do I fix my credit? It's just like everybody else, right? How do I improve my credit? And then I started going through the process of disputing things on my credit, then also signing up for like secure or not secure credit cards. At the time for me, it was like the tier one credit cards, and using those responsibly, and then just watching my credit scores gradually get better. And it felt really good to know that, number one, credit can be fixed. Number two, bad credit is temporary. Like I tell all of my clients, and it just makes you, if you're somebody like me who I just like to help people in general, it makes you want to share the information, and it makes you want to find ways to just let other people know that there's a way out.
I love that you're as much of a giver as you are. I think it's so cool because you literally give away trade secrets that, most people think it's crazy, right? Because you're literally teaching people how to do what you do. And obviously you do it at 100 times level than anybody will be able to do it on their own. But I love the fact that you are such a giver the way that you are. And on that same line of thought, consumer credit, where do people screw this up? Like, it's still baffling to me that some people don't think that fixing credit is even possible. So, like, where do you see that people are messing it up? Where when they come to you, they if they did these things better or right, they would be in a better path to be able to have good credit on the consumer side.
That's a great question. In my opinion, from my own clients and years of having a credit repair business, my personal opinion is a lot of people look at credit in the wrong way, in terms of they don't look at it as money you have to pay back. They look at it as, ooh, this is money that I can spend. And anytime you look at credit as money that you can spend, you end up going through this bad habit, or creating and developing a bad habit to, let's say, for example, you get approved for a $5,000 credit card. Your last credit card was 2,500. So you shouldn't think about it as, ooh, I have double the money to spend. It should be, okay, now this is going to allow me to have a lower credit utilization, for example. This is going to allow me to build and scale the capital that is available to me in an emergency. Those are the small tweaks. The mindset is the biggest issue, because, and I've done it too. The first credit card I ever got, at 18, I checked the mail one day and I had a credit card. I'm like, it was like a Bank of America offer. And I'm like, ooh, what's this? I can get a credit card? I'm still essentially a kid in my head. And so I activated that credit card, and I went and bought some shoes. I went, bought some clothes. I just kind of was balling out, and it was only a $300 limit, but to me, it was a lot of money. And so next thing I know, I'm not dumb. I knew that there was a time I had to pay it back, but I wasn't even thinking of a strategy of how and when I was going to pay it back. I just thought it was cool that I had this money available to me. And so if people were to just make that mindset adjustment to say, okay, this is an extension of my debit card. This is an extension of my checking account. I should not be spending any money on my credit card that I don't have on my debit card. And or I can maybe at worst look at this as a payday loan. Like, okay, I get paid Friday. I'm kind of short on money. It's Monday. Let me use my credit card. And then when I do get paid, let me pay it back. That's the biggest issue to me, because credit cards, as you know, especially in the year 2023, moving into 2024, the American debt in terms of credit cards have gone through the roof, and it's because of bad spending habits. So people make that small tweak, I think credit repair and credit will be much better because people are having all these missing payments show up. And of course, things happen. You know, we all go through a financial hardship. But when you have that mindset adjustment to know that you should only be spending what you can afford to spend in the first place, you can alleviate some of that unnecessary debt.
Yeah, that's honestly some of the best advice I've ever had on fixing consumer credit or ever heard is just stop thinking of these credit limits as money you can spend. And that one massive tweak in mindset, I mean, it's significant. It changes everything because that's exactly how it is. I mean, it's interesting you say, I mean, people double their limit, they think they have double the money to spend. I love that. Beyond fixing it, what about maintaining it? Like, what is your best advice to somebody to not get to a point where the credit has to be fixed? Outside of the mindset of stop thinking that's just money there to spend, what are some of the best tips you have of maintaining a healthy consumer credit profile?
Well, learn the basics of credit. And so I tell people, even if you have good credit or you don't plan to ever use credit, it's best to at minimum understand how credit works. Understanding that, your FICO 8 score is going to be your traditional credit score that you should go based off of. And, even though Credit Karma is a great app, it looks cool, it does a great job of teaching you and kind of giving you a heads up and understanding of what credit is. You at minimum should understand what impacts your credit. That way, let's say you come to my company or any other credit repair company, or even if you repair your own credit, once you get to the point where you don't have any more derogatory items and you're in good standing, what next? Right? I'm going to talk about mindset a lot here, Ty. I'm not going to lie, because it has a lot to do with what we're talking about. Moving forward, you really need to look at your credit and your credit score as a tool. And it's an ongoing thing that is a live document, so to speak, to know what your credit standing is. And this kind of segues perfect into business credit too, because as you know, with business credit, it's all about your risk factor. So when you improve your personal credit, your consumer credit, it's not like, okay, cool. Cause I think a lot of people think, well, I just need to get my credit score up to a certain point so I can buy a house. And once I buy that house or I get that car, I'm good. But no, now you need to make sure that you are making your payments on time. As simple as this may sound, pay your bills, folks. It's really that simple. Make sure you pay your bills. This is the biggest tip. And when I did this, it was life changing. I felt like a grown up for the first time. I put my credit cards and all of my bills on auto pay. So that right there alone, that alone is probably the biggest tip that I have for folks. Now, of course, I understand if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it may be hard to put something on auto pay, but you should also, like, I have an iPhone. Even if you don't have an iPhone, you probably have a Notes app. So there's a Notes app. And every month I take my time and I write out all of my bills. I categorize them by the due date and I check them off every single month, almost like balancing a checkbook. And I'm making sure that all my bills are paid. And I don't move on to the next month until I've paid all of my bills. And that way you don't ever have to worry about anything being over 30 days late, even though that's something that everyone should know as well. Even if you are 3 weeks late, it's not going to affect your credit. You'll have a late fee, but just making sure that you make your payment before it hits day 31. That way it doesn't report. And a lot of times, these creditors, even from my own experience, even if you are over 30 days late, they'll give you another chance to pay the 2 months that you're past due before they report that you were ever 30 days late. So calling these credit bureaus, well, not credit bureaus, calling these creditors and letting them know when you're in financial distress, a lot of times they'll work with you. So when you have good credit or you're working to get to the point where you have good credit, just get in that habit of not looking at the credit bureaus or the creditors as the enemy, work with them to make sure that you can maintain that good credit. That open line of communication is everything. And there's one more thing because I used to do this all the time. Even when you get a late payment, call them. you'll be surprised how many times they'll remove the late fee, or how many times, like I said, they will give you some more time before they report that late payment to the credit bureaus. A lot of times we just shut down and we think, I missed the payment. Dang, it's going to jack up my credit. I might as well just not even pay until the next month and use this money to, go to the restaurant or whatever. No, call them, talk to them, see what they're willing to do.
Yeah, I say there's rarely a problem in life communication won't solve. So I absolutely love that advice because most people tend to run and hide when there's a problem like that. But like you said, it's astonishing on how much credit issuers want to work with you. It's just a matter of opening that line of communication. You've talked a couple times about business credit. One of your videos, I think, has 500,000 views on business credit, and you just rolled out, I think, your second version of that. And again, a lot of views. So, I mean, that's how good this content is. So, when it comes to business credit building, the other side of the coin, what do you find? How much of an impact does building business credit have on a general entrepreneur client you're dealing with?
It has a lot of impact, unless you have. So from my experience, a lot of the business owners that I consult with, they come into becoming a business owner and they come into entrepreneurship with bad credit. And so, as you know, it goes hand in hand. Now, if you start building business credit and you have bad credit, it at least gives you some options to start getting capital for your business, whether it be through a corporate card, the EIN only type of cards that allow you to have that working capital that you need. Well, excuse me. So that is a great reason to start building business credit. And as you know, you can also get a car in your business name for business purposes without them even checking your credit in certain circumstances. So building business credit is very vital and essential to getting the capital that your business needs. Then, of course, once you add the consumer credit to that piece and you fix your consumer credit, now the only thing stopping you is business revenue. But the best way to help your business get revenue is to utilize, let's say, business credit, whether it be for marketing or just taking care of your business expenses. That way you can start generating more revenue. And once you have those three, revenue, business credit, and consumer credit, all A1, you can pretty much do anything that you want to do in terms of growing your business.
One of the things when it comes to business credit that frustrates me is I think so many people see it as a way to get money when you don't have revenue, you're a startup, you have bad credit. And I think it's great. It's a great solution in those circumstances. But there's so many benefits of business credit that I don't think people recognize. What are some of your favorite benefits that business credit provides an entrepreneur that a lot of business owners just don't even think about or don't even realize is something that business credit can do for them?
The number one thing for me is flexibility. I call it capital freedom. Being able to, let's say you're an Airbnb host and you just added a new property to your portfolio, using business credit to just go and get, let's say you can furnish a whole property with a lot of these business credit cards will give you an introductory like 0% for 12 months or 6 months where you have no interest. So you're essentially being able to go in, furnish a whole property, and then once you get those first couple months of profit, pay the credit card back. You just started a whole business for free, using what we call OPM, other people's money. And so those 0% interest options for business credit cards. And then my personal favorite is lines of credit. Business lines of credit is probably one of the best and easiest ways to end up scaling your way up to six figures. Because as you know, Ty, you can get a business line of credit. And if you do well with it, you pay it back, and maybe even early, they will raise that limit pretty substantially. So being able to have more capital, when you go and get a personal credit card, like I was saying before, we're looking at single thousands, maybe 7, 8 thousand. If you have really good credit, maybe you get to 10, 15,000. But with business credit, those business credit cards, we're talking 30, 40, 50, 80, $100,000, once you really get rolling. So those are, I would say, my biggest My favorite things about business credit is just having that capital. And there's so many different ways that you can get funding that will start with, or at least that will have business credit be a big factor in trying to figure out how much of a risk or how low of a risk your business is to a lender.
Yeah, and it's powerful. And you speak so many truths because I mean you do this. Like you're a real estate investor. Not only do you do this stuff, but you teach it as well. And I love that you practice what you preach because you're using business credit to kind of build your own portfolio of real estate as well. That being said, well, what steps do you advise your clients on building business credit? Like if I'm coming to you, I don't know anything about business credit. Where is a place that, from your perspective, is the best place to get started? And what are some of the steps? Like, walk me through the process of building business credit.
Yeah, sure. So I always tell everybody to start with the 8 keys of having a legitimate and credible business. That's what I call it. So making sure you have the foundation in place, because you probably notice as well, a lot of new business owners, they just get real excited and they jump in and they just start applying for things willy-nilly and racking up those unnecessary denials. And they come to me or to you and they're like, I'm trying to figure out, why am I getting denied for this or that? And so they're skipping steps. You want to make sure you have, your EIN, your DUNS number. You want to make sure you have a website and an online presence. Make sure you have that physical, business address, whether it be a virtual office or whatever the case may be. Having a business phone, making sure you have all the necessary permits and licenses, and making sure all of your data matches across the board. So those small things is what you should start with. So step one, I always tell my clients, start with making sure your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, so you can avoid any unnecessary denials. And then after that, regardless of if you have great credit or not, people, don't sleep on these net 30s, because from a lending perspective, the the banks and the lenders, they're going to be looking to see your payment history. And although, yes, if you have a 750 credit score on the personal side, you can go ahead and apply for a, Chase Inc. business card or an American Express business card and get approved. But unless you're going to be using that business credit card on a weekly basis and paying it back, that's just one trade line. That's one trade reference or bank reference. So use these net 30s as stepping stones. That way, once you have, let's say, 5 or 3 to 5 net 30s reporting to Dun& Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, Credit Safe, these major credit bureaus, you can actually have multiple trade references showing consistent monthly payment history. That way, not only will you have a good business credit score and rating, but when you do start getting revolving accounts and then you get a MCA or any type of business loan, your business credit profile shows diversity, and you can show that you manage multiple types of trade references, and that's going to really put you in the best spot. So step one, 8 keys of legitimate and credible business. Step two, start at the ground level, build that foundation, get some net 30s. After you've had those net 30s for a few months with consecutive months of on-time payments, then you can move up to, your tier two, tier three, revolving accounts, and, those co-branded, gas cards and things like that. That way you have a solid foundation versus just thinking, oh, I got a business credit card, I'm good. Like, and then you go apply for a loan and you still get denied because maybe you don't have enough revenue. So those are, like, I guess, the easiest way and the shortest way I can kind of break it down, because it's a lot more complicated than that, but that gives you an idea.
Yeah, and it definitely is a lot more complicated. And for those watching, go to greenscalecredit.com. If you go to greenscalecredit.com and scroll to the bottom of his website, you can link up with Kelvin on his social media channels. And he breaks the stuff down. Like he breaks it down in depth, how to do step one, how to do step two, three. He provides net 30s, the accounts that you should use to go through and be successful. Like he really does a phenomenal job. One of the best I've seen of breaking this down in an easy to consume way. It just drops a lot of bomb. So make sure you check out greenscalecredit.com, bottom of the page. Just take a minute right now and just follow them on the social channels to get a lot more in-depth information about how to do all of this. So Kelvin, success story. Do you have one that sticks out? Maybe one, two. I don't know if you have some on top of your head. You change lives, man. I see what you do, and I see the comments on your channel and just the people, the impact that you have. So do you have like one that you stands out in the top of your head, whether it be consumer credit, business credit, or both, real estate, whatever it may be, that you're like, wow, this is why I do what I do. It's what puts me, smile ear to ear. It's what makes me happy to see that I change lives. Is there something like that that sticks out that you could share?
Yeah. So there's a lot that I do under the Greenscale umbrella. As you know, I have the credit repair side, and then we have the mortgage side where I help people get approved for mortgages. But in terms of even with business credit, I had one of my clients. I call him my buddy now. And what happened was when he came to me, he was trying to get a there was this commercial property that he came across that he wanted to purchase, well, not purchase, he wanted to lease, and he wasn't able to get in. And most of it was because of his consumer credit was jacked up, and so he needed me to help him clean his credit, and then also guide him on the necessary steps to have and a good enough Experian credit score so that he can get that commercial lease. Because a lot of people don't know one of the reasons why the Experian and Telescore is so important is because whenever you try to go and get a commercial lease or to purchase even well, not purchase, but get financing for a commercial property, they're going to check your Experian score and your Experian credit report. And if they see things that they don't like, you'll get denied. And so I cleaned up his personal credit, which impacted his FICO SPSS score. So those of you who may not know, your Experian personal credit score and your Experian business credit score, they look at those together, and that's what's called your FICO small business scoring service. And so by improving his personal credit, then also helping him build business credit at the same time, he was able to secure that commercial property, and now he has a successful business in that property that I helped him gain. And so, that's one story. And then, of course, on the credit slash real estate side, I have countless stories of just being able to help someone who came to me with scores in the 400s, really stressed about wanting to find a property before their lease in because they were still renting at the time, helping them get up into the at least mid 600s. That way they can qualify for like an FHA loan or a down payment assistance program. Got them pre approved. They got the property, and now they're first time home buyers and have a place to call their own with their kids. And at one point, and this is with a lot of clients that I come across, they just have self-limiting beliefs. They don't believe they can become homeowners. And so that's something that really makes me sleep good at night and puts a smile on my face when I know that I'm able to turn things around and make the impossible possible just by showing them that it's possible through my help. Even though I'm just a small, part in that. Like I may help clean their credit, but it's their, hard work in working with me that gets them where they need to be. So, those are just a few examples of why I do what I do.
I love it. Kelvin, what is some of your best advice to entrepreneurs out here that are trying to grow their business? They're running into all these hurdles. They don't know where to turn. There's all kinds of bad advice out there. I mean, if you could just say, look, this is the best things you could do right now to be able to get credit, commercial credit, consumer credit fixed, or just be on their path to obtaining this capital freedom you talk about. What is some of the best advice as we get ready to wrap up that you think that you can give for them to take action right now to be on the right path?
I'm so glad you asked this question because I didn't want to forget to say this. And this is, I feel, the most important thing that I can possibly say. Business credit is amazing. It's a tool. Credit, credit in general, consumer credit, it's a tool, it's a financial vehicle that can help you get to the destination. But I don't want you to just completely ignore the fact and the reality. And I'll be the first to tell you, you got to make money in your business. If we're talking about business here, all right, it's not enough to just rack up business credit cards and build business credit. I need you to already come in with a game plan. Number one, matter of fact, let me take a step back. In terms of building business credit, you absolutely need a strategy. You have to know what's your end goal. Are you like based on your business and your industry? Is it that you need to finance a truck if you're in the logistics industry? And if that's the case, then you should be trying to really develop a business credit profile to where your end goal is to get six-figure loans so you can, expand your fleet. If marketing is all you really need, money to get marketing, then revolving lines of credit cards, business credit cards should be your end goal so that you can start racking up those reward points while you start using those business credit cards for your Meta or Google or YouTube, ad spend or whatever. But in terms of being a business owner, I just want you guys to know that no matter what, when it comes to business funding, like getting an actual business loan, you need business revenue. I think the number one reason that most businesses get turned down, and I've seen it firsthand, is not because of credit scores or even because of business credit. It's because of low sales. So, yes, you can use business credit to help you scale your business and to make money, but be you should do everything that you possibly can to make sure that you can have a successful business that doesn't depend on credit and really focus on doing everything that you can to have a successful business. And those are the intangibles. Let's not sleep on, having good customer service, really providing providing value to your customer. How does your customer feel when they leave your shop? If you're a beautician, how does the customer feel when you provide that product or service? We have to really make sure that we do our best to give the best product and the best service, and then the money will follow. And then, of course, once you're ready to scale, you can use business credit and things like that. But I just think too many people focus on getting the business credit almost as a way of, like we were talking about with consumer credit, it's just more money to spend. So this business credit is for business purposes. So make sure you have a legitimate business, focus 100% on having a successful business, and then use business credit as a tool to just grow and expand.
Phenomenal, phenomenal stuff today, Kelvin. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come on and join us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
All right, so listen, if you're watching this, I can tell you that I've been talking about business credit for a long time. And when I first got started, I just wanted as many entrepreneurs as possible know it's like 90% of entrepreneurs just don't know anything about business credit. And then it's kind of be careful what you wish for, because all these overnight gurus started popping up on all these channels that had no idea what they're doing. And then Kelvin, when I see someone like Kelvin, it's just a breath of fresh air. He's so, so, so smart at what he talks about. And there's two parts to it. It's having the knowledge and the willingness to just be open to share it, to just give it out to people the way that he does, to genuinely be there to help, to provide value in people's lives. And it's really hard to find a combination of those two things. Somebody that has the knowledge he has. He's an expert in mortgages. He's an expert in real estate investing. He's an expert at business credit. He's an expert at consumer credit. He's an expert at coaching entrepreneurs and people to get to their goal. You don't find that in very many people. But not only does he have that knowledge, but this willingness and openness to share, to genuinely dedicate his life to a life of service to help others. You just don't find it. You know as well as I do, it's rare to find that. And you have that with Kelvin. So this is what I want you to do is make sure you go to greenscalecredit.com. Because remember, none of this means anything if you don't take action. Go to greenscalecredit.com, go to the bottom of the page and just take 30 seconds to just subscribe to his social media channels. You'll see what I'm saying. You could dive into these training on business credit, any of the things he talks about, you'll see the level of how in depth he goes and the openness he has to share really quality, actionable information. You're busy. So you want to be able to find somebody that teaches you stuff you can immediately take action on and get results. You'll find that on the social channels. But you'll also find on greenscalecredit.com, there's just a lot of other stuff. You could talk about business loans. You can find out about credit repair. You can find out about business credit there. You can become an affiliate of Kelvin's. You can even learn more about Greenscale Academy, which is where he really dives in. Like if you think the stuff that he does for free out there is a value, you haven't even looked at Greenscale Academy, like what he does on the other side of it and the in-depth value he provides there is something you'll rarely, if ever, see. So make sure you check out greenscalecredit.com. Follow him on the social channels. Make sure you check out Greenscale Academy while you're there. And all your questions about real estate, about mortgages, consumer credit, commercial credit, it's all in one place. So make sure you check it out right now at greenscalecredit.com. Thank you very much for tuning in. Visit greenscalecredit.com. Take care. Have a great day.